All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm checking in for episode one of Blind Line MMA, where I look at the lines this week for the first time. I've stayed off social media, I've stayed off the books. All I've been doing is going through each fight, aligning it myself, and then I'm going to go ahead and check the lines with you guys to see where the value is at, see what any bets we're going to place. I'm going to do all that live in a show. It's the start of a new series for me. I plan on doing other YouTube videos, but in terms of betting content, this is what we're going to do. Like I mentioned, I have not looked at any lines this week. I've just broken down each fight. Let me turn off the notifications. And then, yeah, I'm just going to go through every fight, break it down, tell you where my line is at, or, kind of like in the range I'm in. And then we'll go over to the book, check it out, see, see how my line compares to that. And of course, we place bets based on that. So, the first three fights I will have to circle back to. I do like them. I'm not saying they're not good fights. I just haven't got to them yet, at least not to the point where I feel comfortable in lining them. I do like Radke, Gaslam, and Taco Padilla, but I haven't lined them enough to really look at where the value would be. So I'm going to ignore those for now. I'm just going to slide up to Suarez and Lupi and start from there. So let me pull my notes up. All right, cool. So Lupi and Suarez, the classic wrestler versus striker. Even though Lupi does have some wrestling herself, she has a sister. I don't remember if it's a sister or two that are Olympic wrestlers, but they wrestle for Canada. I don't know how successful they were in that recent Olympics a couple years ago. Don't know anything about them, but I just know she spends a lot of time grappling with them. So she has used that in her game as well. I know a lot of fans were kind of upset with her when she wasn't using it in fights. That she kind of turned into like a straight boxer in a lot of her matchups, and it may have cost her in um, certain fights. But she got back to it recently. Let me pull up her card. Yeah, so she got back to it against Palastri, where she pretty much just out wrestled her for the entire fight, except for that third round where Palastri was landing a lot of shots on her and actually took that round on the judges' scorecards. Um, Against Andrade, from what I remember, she did try to wrestle as well, but Andrade kind of did the same thing where she did take a round with the striking. Um, my big thing with Lupi is she doesn't really move her head. She's kind of really, she's really relying on her high guard with her hands. Putting on those earmuffs and kind of just avoiding shots like that. And she has good boxing of her own. She has the quick combos, good strikes up the middle, but she gets hit a little too often because one, she doesn't really have any power. So if her opponent is just kind of saying that, all right, I'm just going to eat what you throw at me in order to land on you. Sometimes the other opponent's shots could stand out. That's what happened in a Palastri fight and an Andrade fight where she lost those 2 rounds against them. They're pretty much just walking through her or walking her down because she had no power, and they were landing more powerful shots. So it really stood out to the judges. That's mostly because she is undersized. She did go up the division. I forgot exactly when she went up. I don't want to click around because this laptop's already being a little shaky on me. And I don't want any lags or anything like that. I'm trying to do this off a MacBook too, so I don't know if that's best practice. I know a lot of you guys got like these big PCs, so I'm gonna try to do as less movement as possible and go off memory. But she did go up in this matchup. I believe Suarez has, yeah, three inches of height on her, and 5 inches of reach. And Suarez is kind of like bigger on the bigger side for the class. Um, so yeah, just going back to that PowerPoint, I think that's what really harms her in her striking. It happens in a lot of the girls in the division because it's pretty common, but especially with her because she doesn't move her head. So she could get walked down and she'll land and it'll look good. But if the other opponent has any type of power, any other type of striking, it's just not going to look good to the judges when she's in these striking battles and getting walked down and swung on. So um, She won't have to worry about that here. Tatiana Suarez is just straight wrestling. She sells out for the grappling. Let me get back to it. I'm telling you, this thing is slow. And this is like a beta episode, guys. This is the first one, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and figure this out on the fly. We'll get better by each episode. But Suarez, um, wrestler as well. Like I mentioned, won't really have to worry about her striking in this matchup. Where I'm really looking at is the size thing. That obviously plays the biggest factor in any type of wrestling match, with her being the bigger girl. Um, I kind of expect her to get to her wrestling. She's taken down all of her opponents thus far, so I'm not. Um, I don't see why she can't do it again here. Lupi does have decent defensive grappling. She was able to use it against Mackenzie Dern and a couple other fights where she was on her back. So it's just a matter of how much Lupi can make her work and get up. But because I expect Suarez to take her down, realistically, man, I did favor Suarez. I know the lines just came up. I'm not trying to look at them when they come up here when the details expand, but I like Suarez a favorite. Let me pull up my line I had. I had her like a near pick. I went like around like minus 117, 125 ish, like in that range, which I think is extremely fair, just because of just like Loopy and her game plans. Like for example, in a Dern fight for Loopy, she was landing her strikes, but then she'll get into a clinch, and it's like this is not what you want to do against a grappler or someone that prefers to be at this distance. You kind of want to just like kind of pop and be in and out with your boxing. And I think with her having the sisters that wrestle and her always grappling, and it's kind of just like an easy thing to get into on accident. So with Suarez, if she does that, she's going to be dead. She has to keep it at range. She has to, use her boxing to just stay ahead or just keep her distance. And when Suarez crashes in, she has to hit her. But that's where I'm wary of, because of when Suarez comes in, she's going to get a hold of her. Like I said, Lupi's power isn't strong enough to really back girls up. So I think Suarez is going to be able to get the forward pressure and get the takedowns. So let's go check out the line. Like I mentioned, I got Suarez a slight favorite. We are on Bet 365. Probably my favorite book. Okay, so 155. That was about what I was expecting. Like I said, I was in the minus 120 range. So obviously it's not going to be spot on, since the books want to make their money. Money line wise, I would say Lupi has some value here, plus 130. I had her almost even ish. So yeah, when I see something like this, I'm going to go to the props, and obviously everything overs is going to be juiced, because these two can't finish a ham sandwich. So this is most likely going to the card. So what I would do, submission decision, minus 145, Suarez. I would most likely just take one of these by decision, and I will look around on other books, but I don't mind getting plus money on Suarez by decision. Lupi's never been finished, I don't think. At least no, she's never been subbed. So I think that's a solid play at plus money. I will go and look at DraftKings, as I know they have the fight to be won by unanimous decision prop, and they don't have it here. I would like to see what that's at. That's probably, let me just pull it up on my phone here real fast. Because anytime I think a fight is almost guaranteed to go to the cards, I'm looking at that fight to be won by unanimous decision. I know that you need to have a lot of trust in the judges, which is always scary. But usually when you got like a grappler and a striker here, the rounds are pretty clear. If one of them could kind of just win the minutes overall. So unanimous decision, minus 150. Okay. So that's still not in the range I wanted. I would probably just go about one of these by decision, but I'm not too confident in either. If I could get a better line on Suarez, if I'm pushing like 115. Um, I don't think you'd get plus 120, but if I could get 115, I would probably be interested in that for a unit. But we're gonna take a look at the rest of the card. I probably won't place no bets today because I'm gonna wait for weigh-ins. This show is eventually gonna be live streamed on Friday nights once everything's settled, so I can actually lock in picks with you guys here. But I got a busy weekend coming up, so we're just gonna go ahead and take a look, and then I may place bets still, but just looking for right now, and then tomorrow I will place all the bets on the Twitter page. So give it a follow at MMA Mees. But yeah, Suarez by decision is my best bet there, just with the control time to get that decision win. And next up, Gamrot, Ribovics. I thought they were later in the card, but I guess not. Yeah, so this is a similar matchup. Gamrot is the wrestler, Ribovics is the striker. Ribovics has gotten a pretty good reputation of having exciting fights. He's already had like a couple bonuses. He had that fight of the year contender against, I believe it was Huber at the Sphere, that everyone loved. That was a great fight. He followed up with a split decision loss to Hakropas. I forgot how you say it. That's the dude that just got knocked out last year by Quinlan, the Australian dude. But Elvis Brenner, kind of the same thing. His style in all of these fights have been the same. He's literally just like nonstop throwing. Um, it's almost like to a point where it kind of looks like sparring in a way, even though it's obviously not. But he's just kind of throwing pop shots out, which isn't exactly my the best strategy in my opinion, only because he gets countered a lot and he's kind of really relying on his chin because he's just kind of like in this effort mode. Like I'm just throwing strikes, even if they're not hard. Like I'm just throwing the score and throwing to look active. It sets up a lot of counter opportunities for his opponents. And that's pretty much why he lost that fight to Nasserat. And even Brenner, I believe, stole around from him. And Brenner is not a great striker at all. He's mostly known for being a zombie himself. And then his grappling, I believe he's at with Charles Olivier and them at shoot boxing. So he's more of like a grappler. And as you see, the Zell Huber was a split too because of the same thing. Like I don't want to say he's more interested in just having good fights than he is winning, but it certainly feels that way with that style. He's definitely not going to not give himself a case to win, if that makes any sense, because he's literally just popping shots. But like I said, he can get countered. With that said, kind of like the whole Suarez loopy thing, you don't have to worry about that with Gamrot. We know what Gamrot wants to do. He wants to go out there and wrestle at a high clip. He's gonna, keep going to takedowns over and over. He's gonna chain them together, trying to get that control time and look for subs. But he does not mind rinsing and repeating those takedowns, which he was pretty much successful with up until he met. He dropped that questionable decision to Dariush. At least from what I remember, that fight was close. But the split decision to Hooker, I actually bet Hooker in that fight. Um, I don't know, kind of just the war against wrestling and UFC right now, I think is pretty legit. Even though Gamrot just re-signed a contract, I believe, last year. So, if you're favored, that's not really a thing. But the judges in themselves kind of have a war against it. The whole damage thing. So I feel like guys like Gamrot are kind of like falling out of favor in a way, and especially when he's getting older. He is 35, will be 36 later in the year. I think he does get the takedowns here, kind of like the Suarez. So I did line him the favorite. Ribovics was taken down 11 times in his debut, which I'm sure a lot of people are saying right now to make the case for Gamrot. He was taken down by Nasserat. Brenner did not get a takedown against him, but he was in pretty deep in the first round. And Ribovics shot or fought it off at the end and got up. Ribovics also likes to use a Kimura kind of like defensively. So when the guys shoot in, he'll get a hold of their arms and twist it up, and then he'll just use it to stand up if he can't get it. So I do like his defensive skills from that point of view. But it's really hard to not to ignore the 11 times he was taken down. I think it was like 11 out of 21. So this is pretty much what's going to happen similar here with Gamrot. And granted, he got up, 10 times or 11 times if he did get up from that last one. So I'll give him credit for that. But because he was hanging down so much, and I am afraid he can be countered fairly easy, I did line Gamrot the favorite, and I did line him -125 range to -130. So, and then on the flip side, Ribovic like -110 or +110, +115. So we're gonna go ahead and check that line out. All right, -180. So same thing to the first fight. Kind of like in the ballpark range with slight money or slight. Well, I actually wouldn't even say slight. That if I got Ribovics kind of like at that one +110, +115, I actually don't mind that +150 number. Then there's some value there. Check out the props. 425 for TKO, 325. That's a good number, 325 decision because, like I mentioned, the damage over control time thing. Let's see if we could get a TKO decision +160 because I don't see him subbing him unless he locks in that Kimura. I'll be honest, I think 150 is pretty decent for Ribovics here. Like I said, he has decent defensive grappling. He will go down. He's definitely going to make Gamrot work. Granted, Gamrot is the best wrestler grappler he has probably faced in his entire career this far. But I do think the striking gap is wide enough to feel confident in that dog number. And like we said, damage is king now. I mean, it has been for a long time. So I do like the 150. I will hunt around for a better number. If I could get in that +160 range, we will probably fire. Well, actually, let me do this. Let me pull up the. There we go. So we could kind of compare. I'm just kind of trapping myself in Bet365 here. Like I said, this is a beta episode, so you guys got to work with me. All right, Ribovics. All right, so yeah, you can get +160, +169. Please just tell me. All right, 4CX. Like a lot of these books I don't have, so I really don't pay attention. +170 on circa 165 MGM. So these are all not bad lines. The 160s. Okay, it's not letting me. This is my first time on desktop on this site too. So, um, yeah, I like that 165 number. If you get anything towards 170, definitely take that. Like I mentioned, Ribovics has a judge-friendly style, which is how much he throws. He's one of those dudes that people say will fight for your money. So I think he's shown a decent enough um, defensive grappling skills to at least continue to get this fight up and continue to land damage. So I will most likely be taking Ribovics at this number. Like I said, I'm waiting for weigh-ins. If everything goes cool there, I will go ahead and lock in Ribovics at like that +165 number. I think that was on MGM. Yeah, MGM. Yeah, that'll be an official play. If you guys want to lock that in, if you're listening right now and I haven't posted it yet, go ahead and take that if you're tailing, because I don't mind that number. I think that fight is closer to a pick 'em. So she had the Gamrot just getting knocked out by Oliveira and by a fairly easy. I believe it was like first round, right? First or second round, second round. So yeah, I'll fade Gamrot at that number, 100%. All right, let's get back to the card somehow. All right, Kevin Holland, Randy Brown.